You could not have drove a straight pin in his ass with a sledgehammer. And me and my dad have a different relationship than a normal father-son. Now, of course, I told you guys he's a drag racer and the macho guy and all that stuff. But we were almost more like brothers growing up, constantly in competition with each other. And me and my dad are just alike at the end of the day. The normal situations that you would explain to your dad, I didn't have to, because usually my dad was with me when I got in trouble. He actually put me on my very first collector car, which was a 1963 Falcon Sprint. 289 A code, 3 deuces and a 4-speed, solid lift cam. Great little car, would pass everything but a kidney stone. My dad was always into big block Chevelles. He always had one sitting around somewhere, and usually it was pretty hot. He actually built one for the chief of police back home. My dad has actually gotten pulled over with the chief of police racing his big block Chevelle in my Falcon, and him having to come home and explain it to me. I've actually got pulled over street racing with my dad 2 times. I had a 94 Mustang GT, convertible, my senior year of high school. It wasn't stock by any stretch, had some mods done to it, and for what it would hold its own. My dad had a 56 Chevrolet 2-door station wagon, had a 454 in it. It had been hot rodded up pretty good. And we're cruising through Greer, which is a small town right outside of Taylor's, the town I grew up in. We're cruising down Wade Hampton Boulevard, it's a 6-lane highway. My mother's sitting beside my dad. My girlfriend's in the car with me, and we're riding down Wade Hampton Boulevard. Well, a red light catches us. It's a perfect opportunity. So what do? We open them up right there on the spot. Dad's about a half car length ahead of me, blue lights. We both pull over. Me and Dad both step out of the cars. We walk to the back. We hand him our licenses. He says, "You're related?" That's my dad. Me and my dad really don't look a lot alike. I look more like my mom, thank God. But he said, "So you're telling me this is your son?" My dad's like, "Yep." He hands us our licenses back, and he said, "Don't do this anymore." So that one ended well. Every day on the way to school, I had the Trans Am my freshman year. I had GT Mustangs all through high school. So I always had the cool car. Well, my dad decided he wanted something late model and cool to mess with me with. And he was a car dealer at the time, so he bought him a new SS Camaro, LT4 6-speed. He would bust my ass every day on the way to school. And I'm not talking about once a week, and I'm not talking about every once in a while. I'm talking about every day, 7:15, we turned on to Wade Hampton Boulevard, which is a 6-lane road that runs from our neighborhood, and he would bust my ass every day. He wouldn't give me a head start. He wouldn't give me any links. He wouldn't give me nothing but an ass whooping every time. That's how I started my day, every day in high school. And that's how we are, and to this day, we are still competitive. If I go out and buy a new black truck, he goes out and buys a new black truck. I mean, we're constantly in competition with each other, but there's no other person in this world that's ever in my corner like he was. Right or wrong, he's always been there. Now, he'll be the first to tell me when I'm wrong, but he'll still be there. I was kind of a PhD kid in high school. Papa had a dealership, so I'm riding a dealer tag. That's how I got the cool cars. I was riding around. I didn't have to pay insurance on them. It helped. Well, there was a little hangout called Tropical Island, and it was like a little putt-putt course and a little go-kart track, and all the teenagers hang out there. So naturally, what do? If you got a cool car, you cruise the parking lot. You hang out. So we rode through the parking lot, and when we're not cruising Main Street, we cruise around through there, looking for trouble. Pull through, and there was a couple like security guard guys there. Well, not real cops, they're like fake cops. And pulled my little convertible GT Mustang in, bright green dealer tag on the back. Paul Blart comes up to me and goes, "Is that car for sale?" I said, "No, sir." He stops me right there. He said, "That car's got a dealer tag on it. It's supposed to be for sale." This man raked me over the coals for 30 minutes. And I'll be honest with you, I got my ass chewed. I'm going home. So I got in my car, I left. I didn't live, at the time, 5 minutes away. I pull in the driveway, my dad's in the garage waxing his car. Dad said, son, it's awful early for you to be home. So I explained to him the situation. He said, get your ass in the car. I'm driving. My dad drives up there. What's he gonna do, you know? I said, Dad, it ain't that big a deal. He said, no, you gotta stand your ground. He said, you're saying it's a damn security guard? I said, yeah. So I'm like, okay, whatever, you know? We pulled into the parking lot and he stops, and there's these two security guards leaning against the wall. Which one talked to you, Rob? And the first thing he tells him, he said, let me tell you something, you son of a bitch. He said, this is my car, my tag, and he's driving it. The reason he told you the car wasn't for sale is he probably knew you couldn't afford it, and he was just being nice. Second, don't be threatening my son. He said, you have a flashlight. What the fuck are you gonna do, dilate his pupils? You need to quit picking on kids. Have a good night. That was a proud son moment right there. Like that's my dad, you know? I love just the opportunities with Dad. You know, drag racing was fun. I mean, this man has world records. They're still there in drag racing. And this is the same guy that sits through red lights now, which kills me. And I have the opportunity now, you know, we have a diesel truck shop together, and he works with me every day. And we laugh and we cut up nonstop. And the competition has not even slowed down a little bit, even with age now with him. You got to think about it, through the years, my cars have gotten way better now. And he's still, everything I own is slow. Every car I've ever sold was good luck. Now keep in mind, from the age of 16 to 38, I've probably sold 5,000 cars in my life, and every one of them I was lucky. Or his favorite saying, a broke clock's right twice a day. But yet, every time he wants to sell a car, I'm the first one he calls. You know, now he's into the big block vets and things like that. And constantly, whenever I pull my Chevelle out or whatever, he's like, you don't want to know that vet. So in the collector car stuff, another funny street racing story that involved the cops with my father. We were actually going to see a friend of ours, and we were riding around the old cars, you know, get them out, cruise around in them. And it's kind of cool, father, son, just riding around. My dad's in a 67 big block drop top Chevelle, bright red, white top, red leather guts, super, super sharp car. I had a 66 GTO 389 tri-power 4-speed with 4-wheel disc brakes, remember that. So I'm driving my little GTO around. 389 tri-power ain't no slouch. 396, it's a pretty even matchup. Cars are about the same size. He hasn't tried to mess with me all day. We've just been cruising around. He's got the top down. We're just riding. Well, we get over to our buddies and we're hanging out and we're shooting the bull. Next thing you know, I think that little GTO take that Chevelle. I haven't said a word. My dad chimes in, he goes, there's no way in hell that GTO outrun this Chevelle. It's 12 o'clock, lunchtime, traffic's out. Can't prove it. Well, there's a new road coming into Greenville called the Pete Hollis Highway. And it's finished now, but then they were building it. And they built this grand bridge, this big bridge right across it that was closed. And they just paved it. It was concrete. It's about a quarter-mile long. We could move them barrels and race across the bridge. You've got a bright red GTO, a bright red Chevelle, loud cars, and we're sitting here on this closed bridge, road cones and drums everywhere. And we take off. I'm grabbing gears. You know, I mean, I can work a 4-speed pretty good. Clutch pedals for starting and stopping. That's it. Dad's in his car. I mean, we're running neck and neck, and I got about a fender on him with a GTO. Well, next thing you know, those barrels are getting closer and closer. So I kind of whoa off of it on the brakes. Well, I got 4-wheel disc brakes, so I just kind of whoa right on down. Dad's brakes, he still had 4-wheel drums. He was sideways as he slid between two sets of barrels. Never made a mark on the car, never hit anything. You could not have drove a straight pin in his ass with a sledgehammer, but he didn't hit a thing. And to this day, I still didn't win that race. I hit the brakes to make sure he was going to stop, and I lost still. So I guess that's dealing with Dad.